Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. This is your go-to place for entertaining car talk, the In Wheel Time car talk show. Ever done it around the world? A show and tell, so to speak. The four of us are going to attempt it right here on this program. Jeff has a feature on 8 common problems with tires. Later, we get caught up with the Lilienthals on the Alcan 500, the Rebel Rally, and SEMA. Konrad has the clinic, the car clinic, plus we got the stories making auto news headlines. All straight ahead on this edition of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Konrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Dziekan. I'm Don Armstrong. Thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday. We're going to do things a little bit different in this segment, because right now we are going to do Konrad's This Week in Auto History, which normally would have been in the last segment, but because of my brain malfunction today, I missed it.
Just changing things on the fly.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Adapt
And
and
this is
overcome.
a segment that we normally have a guest. We're not going to have a guest, but we've got other things for you today. But I think that This Week in Auto History would be a good thing to start with.
Sure.
This week in 1911,
I was born.
Chevrolet was founded.
Oh, really?
And I thought it was older than that. I didn't realize it was 1911.
Louis Chevrolet.
Correct. So Chevrolet, that was one of their first cars right there.
That was?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's in 1911? Mm-hmm. Really?
And then in 1927, the Ford Model A production begins as they close out the Model T production from 1908.
That's cool.
You got to remember, they made, 15 million Model Ts?
And they ruined them with no roads.
Well, but the car was built to withstand it, and then the things they learned on the Model T, they added to the Model A. And the Model A is still a very popular car. You see a lot of people will hot
A
rod.
lot of, I was going to say hot rods.
I had a model.
And then in 1935 was the introduction of the coffin nose cord.
Why do they coffin nose?
Because when you look at the hood,
I know, but I've never heard it referred to as a coffin nose.
It's always been called coffin nose.
Really?
Beautiful car and extremely innovative car. If you think about that.
That's got hidden headlights on it.
It has hidden headlights on it. It was front-wheel drive, and it was available with a supercharger.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, all Cords were front-wheel drive.
I had no clue.
So, and you got to remember Cord, Auburn, not Packard.
Tornado.
No, not Packard.
Cord and Auburn were kind of sister.
Tornado.
Were kind of sister brands, but how innovative was that car to be that kind of power, front-wheel drive with hidden headlights. And then in 1939, the 40th National Automobile Show opened in Chicago, Illinois, with cutting-edge development. It was also the time that Packard displayed a prototype featuring quite an expensive device, air conditioning.
Really?
Very cool.
In 1939, Packard introduced air conditioning at the Chicago Auto Show. And similar as the system works today, as far as using a Freon product, the Packard air conditioning system would cool or heat the air in the car after the designated level, and it would also dehumidify the air and circulate the cooled air to create a comfortable environment.
Did people even know what they had?
I don't think so.
And that's Beetlejuice's dad right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. You got to think that through the
Krueger.
40s and the early 50s, air conditioning was just a water cooler that you hung on the side of your window.
I remember that.
That looked like
That
a torpedo.
bullet thing, yeah.
Looked like
Blue
a torpedo.
air
It worked well, but it wasn't air conditioning. And
But it was great for your skin.
kept you humidified. Mm-hmm. And then air conditioning was actually mounted in the trunk with these big tubes that blew cold air in from the back.
The 57 Chevrolet is the one that comes to mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and then in 1955, the Studebaker Hawk line was introduced. I think that's a very creative car. That was, and I believe it's a Lowry car. Beautiful, but the only place you really see these anymore is at Bonneville.
Oh,
you
be
know,
darned.
you see an occasional one out on the street, but that car has become quite the
Bonneville
favorite
salt
car of
racer
a
type
Bonneville
thing.
salt flat car.
Wonder why?
Probably because for what it was in stock form, there was a pretty good aerodynamic package to it.
Are you serious?
Coefficient
yeah.
on that, yeah, was low.
I guess. Well, the roof line is low.
Yep.
And
It's
it's
got
got-
vertical stabilizer fins. It's got kind of a slanted front grille.
Yeah.
White sidewalls.
And then in 1957, Chevrolet announced as a 1958 model the
gorgeous,
Impala.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
You know, the Impala came, everybody thinks that there was an Impala in the Tri-5s, and there wasn't. The top line was a Bel Air.
Yeah.
So Chevrolet, trying to get above that, introduced the Impala in 1958, and that's a one-year-only body in 1958.
And
It
they're
was.
gorgeous.
And the quad headlights.
Quad headlights, yep.
That was a big thing back then.
Not
I
only
remember
the,
that.
The headlights, but look beneath with the runners with I would assume the turn indicators.
Oh, yeah,
underneath
yeah.
In the grill itself.
And then in 1970, Toyota introduced the Celica. Cool little car.
I remember that car vividly when it came to market, and they were very popular at the time, and it was really kind of a cool little car back in the day for that period of time.
Yeah, I had a 72.
Wow.
So it's the same body style. Yeah,
Silica?
Cool, very cool little car.
4-cylinder.
4-cylinder, 5-speed.
Oh, it had a 5-speed.
It wasn't mine. I was just driving it, but yeah.
Whose was it? Did you tear it up?
No, I didn't.
He didn't know whose it was. It was just parked down the street.
Keys in
and
it.
Got
There you
keys
go.
in it, yeah.
And then in 1983, the first minivans from Chrysler left the assembly line,
Oh yeah, huge.
which truly
Changed
created a
new
market
market,
that
yep.
didn't exist.
Right.
Correct.
And
Everybody wanted one
and Lee
Absolutely.
Iacocca absolutely saved Chrysler
with that.
with that. And you got to remember the federal government had loaned a bunch of money to Chrysler, and this was
And they paid it back right away.
Well,
was
early,
the vehicle
yeah.
that
Yep.
helped them pay it back early, unlike
Other
other
companies.
manufacturers.
Hey, doesn't GM still owe money?
They've been,
We're not
they've
mentioning
been
any names.
forgiven. And that's this week in auto history.
You found it gonna cough?
Spit it out. Spit it out.
No, come on.
You got a bigger cough than that.
All right. Well, that was good.
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought the air conditioning piece was kind of cool.
You know,
Well-
something I thought of on the cord, you mentioned the cord. You know, a few years ago when we started talking to the DeLorean guys, 'cause when they moved back to Houston, they're operating under a special licensing where they only produce a small quantity. Is what allowed them to start making cars again. But there was a guy here in Houston that he had bought the rights to do that to a Cord.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, he was talking about
Kind of like a
doing-
continuation.
Yeah, he was talking about doing it here in Houston, but he was looking for financing. I made myself a note. I need to go look and see if he ever did anything with that.
But what about the guy that is doing the rebuilding, if you will, of the original cars that bought all of the stock inventory?
Yep. DMC. out in
He's
Humboldt.
he's still around.
Oh, yeah. He's still around, still selling cars, and still, he is.
Have you seen the
source.
pictures of the new?
They are not coordinated at all.
No.
Actually,
They're renderings.
They are quite at
Separate.
odds with each other.
I see.
The new car is being supported by DeLorean's daughter, and they are not happy with the DMC here in Houston. Never have been. That he bought everything out. And
Well, they had a chance to buy it out
well,
too.
they didn't have the money to.
Well, he did,
money
and
talks.
so yeah.
Yeah, but they because I've talked to James, that we've talked to before over there, and they're kind of closed mouth, and I didn't realize what was going on between. I thought it was them creating this deal in San Antonio, and it's not. And he made that very clear, and he said, "You want to talk about that? You need to call them."
Yeah, they are not in any
Not
connected
together.
at all. And then I've seen some pictures.
Now, is the new rendering that you saw? Is it
no,
called?
they actually have a prototype built.
Is it
Yes.
called a DeLorean?
No, it's called a JZD, John Z. DeLorean, but there's no DeLorean in the name of it. So instead of DMC, it's JZD.
Yeah, it's because the one here in Humble is a DeLorean Motor Company. I mean, they really have that name, and
Well, they paid for it.
yeah, and these guys over here, they've got whatever the lawyers came up with that they could legally do.
And I've seen the pictures of the prototype, and it still has the gull wing doors, except it's a 4-passenger car, and one gull wing on both sides. So it opens up to the front seat and the rear seat passenger with one door.
So it's still a 2-door.
Still a 2-door,
But 4-passenger.
But it opens to both seats. Yeah.
I thought kind of a creative way to do that, to bring something different to the market, but it's all EV.
Oh, okay. All EV.
And they're talking, like everybody with an EV, it's
So
easy
you get to
charge.
88 miles an hour faster.
That's right. I asked Jeff to kind of expand his story that he's going to do on the 8 common problems with tires. And let's talk about tires, because it's getting to that point of the year in many parts of the country that people are either putting their cars away, their nice cars that they have collected or store or bring out in the summertime,
Show cars
and
and
put them
whatnot,
away,
yeah.
or getting their daily driver set up to run in inclement weather, whether it be rain or snow. And I thought, well, this would be a good time to talk about that, running up to Thanksgiving. And, a lot of people go to Aunt Mary's house for
That's
Thanksgiving
exactly
and that
right.
sort of thing.
Yep. Travel for the holidays, and you got kids and family in the
And
car.
up in Wisconsin, and with you up in Detroit, and him in New York, you don't count.
Golden Triangle.
That a lot of people always had winter tires, and the winter tires came off when the snow went away.
Yep.
And you had to store them somewhere in your house safely.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And,
I did. I had winter and summer tires. The summer tires had the mag wheels on it, and you had your white leather, cool.
The good
profile.
stuff.
Yeah, you'd put a coat of wax on the rims and make sure that the treads are clean. Take all the little rocks and everything out of the tread, stack them up, and put a cover on them in the basement. And then
Oh yeah, I was the one as a kid who did that.
Yeah,
for
I did too.
Both my mom's car and my dad's car. I was out there taking the tires off, stacking them in the storage room in the garage.
So you didn't have a separate set of wheels for that set of tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the tires stored inflated, and oh gosh, you had to lay 2 pieces of wood on the ground, a tire, 2 pieces of wood, a tire. My dad was very anal about how that happened. And the funny thing was those tires would last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Was not uncommon.
Well, yeah, and depending on
You
where
only
you
used
lived in
them
New
half a
York,
year.
in the Michigan, Detroit area, you would 4 months maybe, and then you would pull them off. The first sign of inclement weather, the trees are coming, changing colors. That's the time. And then you put your steel wheels on, and if you had snow tires and you needed them, and depending on your area, you'd throw the snow tires on. Not a lot of spikes or cleats, with the
Well, I think
the tires. I didn't have those, but you could.
Yeah.
Oh, we had studded snow tires.
Studded, yeah.
But my dad would always wait until the roads got icky, and we'd put the studded snow tires on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never did that, and then the tire manufacturers nowadays, I know Bridgestone, if you get snow tires, you can actually put your own studs in the tires themselves
really?
at different lengths, different millimeter lengths. They will, depending on the area you're in.
And I'm sure that absolutely voids any warranty.
No, that's part of the tire. If you're going to get snow tires with studs, what size studs you want, and then they'll.
No, we want the Don stud.
Well, that's kind of like taps on your shoes. We always in junior high school we had those horseshoe
Cleats.
Horseshoe taps that you put on your heel so you'd walk down the hallway in school.
Clickety-clack.
Well, like golf shoes, you can change out the spikes in those.
Well,
got
they
a
don't
little
have those
tool
anymore,
and all
Mike.
that. What?
They don't necessarily have spikes in golf shoes anymore.
No, they've gone to that plastic.
Yeah, rubberized soles, deep tread.
Mike,
I'm keeping my golf
he
shoes.
doesn't
in.
watch racing on television. He doesn't
golf.
He doesn't golf. What do you do?
Let me
Yeah,
think of that.
exactly.
I'll
Well,
have to think about
don't.
that.
Yeah, don't even tell. We don't want to know.
But getting back to it, in different areas of the country, you got the snow belts and the sun belts and things. You've got places in Colorado where they have mountains, and your daughter drives in the mountains.
And she's got all weather tires, and they have
All
worked
season,
all season, and they work great.
Yeah.
Even in the snow.
Well, she knows not to go into areas where they've got 10 inches of snow. She's not going to go there. Nobody does
Right.
until they clean the roads, and there's a definite path or
Does
way to
anybody,
go.
Does anybody use snow chains anymore?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
My daughter has some for her Audi because there are sometimes, depending on where you're driving, there are chain requirements
That's right.
to go over certain passes. So when she goes into Lake Tahoe, especially for New Year's Eve, two of the passes that she goes in are required chains. Usually, if there's any snow on the ground, and one of them is the Truckee or the Donner Pass from where the Donner family had their meals.
Well, it's funny because they have the same thing
Meals
in
on
Colorado, and especially headed up to that big national park that Katie likes to go up to.
Yeah.
It says right there, in inclement weather, you have to have chains.
Oh, and Rochelle says the cool thing is where that station is that says you have to have chains is always a pull-off to put your chains on. And generally there is a Department of Transportation truck or a couple of them there that will help you put your chains on, which really surprised me. I bought her a set of chains that clip on and work.
I'm just going to say,
beautifully.
because that whole technology has changed as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because back in the day, it was literally a chain that you put on there. But today, it's kind of different. It's almost as if it's a
studded
steel cable kind of thing.
Right. And if you're driving down the road and you see a tractor trailer, and you see on the back of the cab where they have chains hanging off, generally those are the chains they need for their traction tires on the actual tractor itself. So you can see those. But to that point, yes, steel wheels. I put hubcaps on to protect the lug nuts. Obviously, you're going to get cold and stuff on them. Gunk. But and then of course the salt. The salt will deteriorate it as well, just like anything else. Yeah.
Well, I've got to buy Leslie a tire. One. She's got one brand new one that's on there.
We've talked about that.
I know. I'm going to have to do that because she's got 3 other tires on there that iffy is not even a good word to describe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, why don't you do your eight common problems with tires?
Well, we talked a lot about that because the tires, knowing the signs of a tire problem is your first thing. And overinflation is one of them. These aren't in any particular order. It's just a matter of how you address what you have on your vehicle. Overinflation is one, and overinflation, that contact patch of that tire is the only thing between you and basically the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Because if it's overinflated, you've got a different contact patch. It's thinner. It's in the center of the tire itself. And obviously, you're going to wear out that center more than you would the sidewalls.
Well, her Jaguar, it requires 40 pounds of pressure in those tires.
Yeah,
40.
That's a lot.
And I was shocked. And of course, it only had 30 because some moron that did the last tire check, everything's got 30. No, it's not.
And
look at the placard.
Exactly. You look at the placard. It's either on the
driver's door,
or it's in the glove box, or in your manual somewhere, or you can call the dealer with the OE tires on it. Not necessarily have to have the OE tires, but it's recommended. And then, of course, the air inflation is proper for the vehicle.
And it's not about, on the side of the tire, it says max air pressure.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, you don't want to do that. That's where you get into this, the overinflation.
Exactly.
What are you doing, Morris?
Well, I'm trying to get his attention because my question is, like in this picture, you can see that it's rounded. It's got too much air in it, and it's rounded. And I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen that actually on a car because of the way the car puts
the
pressure
new radial
on it.
tires.
Yeah.
In the bias ply tires, that was easy to do.
Yeah.
But in the radial tires, not so much.
My truck tires, you can't tell that. I'm just curious.
You can, well, in a way you can if you know what you're looking for, because the sides of the tires on the sidewall, they won't be flat to the ground. So you're going to know that there is a bulge in it. Now, this is a little over-exaggerated on that pic.
Okay.
That's just to show you that this is
yeah,
what...
so you can see it.
Right.
Okay.
Then the next one, obviously, on the other side of that would be underinflation. 60% of the vehicles on the road have underinflated tires.
Yep, I believe that.
And it increases the risk of understeer, which you can get into collisions with that, car accidents, poor handling, maneuvering, trying to change lanes or avoid something in the road on a quick turn. That's going to impact it. General wear. And, of course, what happens with this is the outsides of the tires wear quicker. And, of course, the middle doesn't have that wear pattern that you would have on a normal inflation.
I would think it would be harder on the sidewalls also.
Well, it does, and friction creates heat, and heat builds
In the sidewall.
in the sidewall.
When they're
Okay.
underinflated.
and that's how you
That's
can
a
do
blowout.
that as well. That would be a blowout, yeah, absolutely. And then cracking and bulging. This is a common thing, not only with people running into stuff, and we'll get into that too, but also the heat. Now, being down here in Texas is different than being up in, say, New York or where you grew up. The sun can actually denigrate the tires as well because of the heat and the sun on the tire taking all of the moisture
Sure.
and all of the oils
The
out of the tire.
ultraviolet damage.
Exactly, the ultraviolet damage. It's like putting sunglasses on. You're going to protect your eyes. Well, that happens as well there. So cracking and bulging is a problem as well.
Well, I remember Angela's Honda. I had you look at those tires
Mm-hmm.
years ago when we were out there at the high school fundraiser
Yep.
with Mac DeLop.
Yep.
And you said, no, not much to worry about, but, pay attention to it.
Yep. And the next one is just driving at normal speeds can actually deteriorate a tire if you don't take care of them. If you're not looking at the tire and you've got, say, a bulge or maybe a tread separation or maybe a cut and you're not aware of it, driving at speeds will enhance that tire's problems. So that you always have to look at them, glance at them. If you're getting a gas station and you're getting gas or you're running into the store, take a look at them.
Well, most new cars these days will tell you what the tire pressure is. All you got to do is just hit the button.
Yeah, the TPMS
Yeah, but
unit.
that doesn't deal with what Jeff's talking about tread separation. That only deals with air pressure.
Right.
So it's always wise to kind of do the once around your car once a week at least
Yeah.
to kind of visually look at the tires.
Do you do that?
Oh, yeah.
You do, because you're the highway king.
Yep. And actually we found tread separation on my van, the shop van. 2 of them had separated. It had a vibration in it, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be right front. Didn't know, so I kind of went out and looked and didn't see anything. And then eventually you could literally see the separation happen. And so we ended
absolutely.
up putting tires on it.
Well, and I just went through the tire recall. I had 4 new tires put on mine recently, September, I think it was, August, September. And within
Recall, so you got them for free.
I got 2 because of the date of the tire.
Oh,
If these tires were made in this particular
Date range.
they want them back. And, of course, I contacted where I got them. They said, yeah, we'll bring them in. How about tomorrow? A couple of days later, I had them put on, and boom. But they all look brand new because it was a short period of time when I
yeah,
had
because you only had it for like a month
yeah,
or something.
5 weeks, something like that. Misalignment. So misalignment can be a number of things. It can be wearable parts. It can be your camber caster, tie rod ends, bushings, or just a misbalanced tire.
See, and I thought that was Don's drag show name, Misalignment.
Misalignment. And indexing of a tire, too. If you look at the side of a tire, there's dots. There's inspection dots. Some of them are yellow dots. Some of them are red dots. If it's a red dot, that's an index dot. And I don't believe that. Oop,
Good.
sorry. An index dot means that's where the tire has to be mounted at the valve stem. It's where the tire's balanced. And tires are not perfectly round. Tires are more of an egg shape if you actually drill down and look at it. Rims are not perfectly round. They're the same. They're egg shaped. So if you match a lower part
Yep.
of the egg to the higher part of the rim, you'll get less weight to put on that tire.
Right.
And it's called indexing. And then, of course, you've got road force machines where you see them spin and they cover it up and they put like a giant wheel on the side of
A
the
weight
tire.
on it.
A giant wheel to spin the tire. That's called road indexing. That means that's seating the bead of the tire. Because when you put tires on, those beads aren't seated up properly until you drive several miles down the road. Could be up to 10 miles before that bead seats actually pops into place.
And the other thing is the road force balancing, they're actually measuring the consistency of the sidewall build
Right.
as they rotate that around. And depending on your car, that can add a vibration that's
yeah.
a nightmare to find.
It could be minimal that you really don't feel it. You just turn up the radio, or you can go ahead and have it fixed. Turn up the radio and everything. And then the other one is cuts and punctures. Cuts and punctures are driving over a nail, pothole, things of that nature, you can actually see on the side of a sidewall or on the tread of a tire before belt separation a bulge. Sometimes it's overlap where they make the tire, where they took the two pieces of rubber and overlapped them and melted them together, or it's from an actual impact. And a lot of warranties don't cover impact. Impact would mean hitting a giant pothole, hitting a curb, running something over, a piece of wood, whatever that makes that impact. The way to see if it's an impact versus a lap of the belt is you take the tire off the rim. If there's granules or powdery material inside the tire, that's an impact. Because when the tire hits, it sort of explodes itself inside, and the debris of hitting that is all that little granule inside of the tire.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So that's part of an impact itself. And then emergency braking, Mike. This is for you.
Okay, I'm watching.
Emergency braking, you can flat spot your tires. And of course, you get the bounce and the vibrations that way as well.
Flat spot it.
That's when in the racing.
I've done that on rent cars.
In racing, where you come into the pits and you skid into the pits, it's a flat spot. They're flat spotting the tire, so that's part of it as well.
Well, much harder to do in today's vehicles
Right.
since everything's got ABS.
ABS
on them.
braking.
Not if you put the emergency brake on.
Or your ABS module is still 18 months till you can get it.
Take that handbrake, yank it all the way up.
Yeah.
And get those rear tires just locked up. You're going down the freeway at 60 miles an hour, nobody around you, of course.
Or you
hit
sit-
that emergency brake, and you can still steer it.
There you go.
What?
Nice.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Something?
Why?
Just because it's a rent car.
Wear and tear.
You can.
Wear and tear of the tires. We skipped it. That's okay. Wear and tear is just general. When you go in Texas, you get state inspections.
Yeah.
The state inspection is allowing 3 millimeters of the wear bar. You'll see a wear bar in between the treads.
Yeah.
Right?
Tires, it actually goes bad at like 1.5, so that if you wear that down as well. So be aware of that. Your tread depth is important for snow, for water, for just general driving down the road.
Safety.
There are companies, tire companies, Continental does this, where they have a DWS in the actual tread block, where it's dry, wet snow. So if it's S, it's only certain depth in that tread block. Wet is a little bit deeper, and then dry is a little deeper than that. So when the S wears off, you have no more snow capability. When the W wears off, you have less wet traction, wet capability.
So is anybody out there retreading anymore?
There are retreaders. But not necessarily for car tires, but for like the truck tires.
Yeah. When you can't put retread tires on the front drive wheels.
And if you have a
Steering
puncture and you have a plug patch, you actually decrease the speed index by 1 degree.
All right. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show streams on the iHeart radio app, iHeart, Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast channel. In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Hey, Houston! America's greatest hot rod tradition is back! Thanksgiving weekend! The O'Reilly Auto Parts Autorama! At the George R. Brown Convention Center. 4 action-packed days of hot rods, customs, classics, trucks, performance cars, and live music. Do not miss the Ultimate Lowrider Showcase. Sponsored by Shorty's Hydraulics. And the Traditional Rod Garage. Saturday only, it's the Tuner Galleria. With 250 imports, JDM, and luxury cars. Plus music and models. On the celebrity stage, presented by Nick's Auto Repair and Classic Car Restoration. Meet Bad Chad and wife Jolene from Bad Chad Customs on Friday. Saturday, it's Dave Kindig from TV's Bitch and Rise. Sunday, it's Danny Coker and Kevin Mack from TV's Counting Cars. Shop the swap meet and women's world all weekend. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Autorama. November 25th to 28th at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Discount tickets at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Part of the Summer Racing Equipment Show Car Series. See Autorama.com for more info.
Starting to work on your Christmas calendar? Be sure to add the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In Saturday, December 17th. You'll want to attend Tailpipes and Tacos Christmas Edition at the Loopy Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. It's the only place cruisers compete for Loopy's Chili Pepper trophies and other prizes. There's no charge to enter your vehicle for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, or Best Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest and most unique cruise-in and is your opportunity to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods. And get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos with adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and cars will automatically compete for those much sought-after custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. It's the Tailpipes and Tacos Christmas Edition, Saturday, December 17th. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate the Christmas season with friends and family at Tailpipes and Tacos. Saturday morning, December 17th, 8 to 11. We'll see you then, weather permitting.